welcome to Little's Reading, and today we will be reading Puss in Boots. Puss in Boots. There was once a poor man who had 3 sons. He had a small farm and a donkey and a cat, and nothing else in the world. Before he died, he gave the farm to his oldest son. He gave the donkey to his next son. He looked sadly at Tom, the youngest. "I'm sorry. All I have left is the cat." Tom tried to smile. That's all right, Father. Puss is very clever. I know he can always catches lots of mice. But after his father died, Tom knew that he couldn't stay at home. His brothers could work together on the farm with the donkey, but they didn't need him. "What can I do with a cat?" he asked. I can't even eat him." "Eat me?" answered Puss. "Oh, please don't do that. I have a much better idea. Give me a cloak and a hat and some boots, and I think I can help you." Tom was surprised, but he found the clothes for Puss. Then Puss put them on. "Puss, you look amazing," said Tom. Puss took off his hat and bowed. "Thank you, master." Next, he picked up a bag. Puss left the bag and some carrots and went into the forest. Puss left the bag on the ground with the carrots in it. He hid behind a tree and waited. He went to the king's palace. "I have a present for you." "For the king," he said, "from my master, the Marquis of Carabas." "The Marquis of Carabas? Never heard of him." A servant took the rabbits, and Puss waited. Soon the servants came back. "The king says, 'Thank you for his present,'" he said. "Your master is very kind." The next day, Puss went into a field. He left his bag on the ground with some corn in it and waited. Soon, 4 fat little birds came to eat the corn. Puss jumped out and caught them. Then he put them in the bag. He went back to the king's palace. "I have another present," he said. Again, the king said thank you, and the servant gave Puss a few coins. "Puss, you are the cleverest cat in the world," said Tom. That night, he and Puss had a good dinner. "Oh, this is nothing," said Puss. "Next week, the king is going out in his carriage with his daughter, the princess. You must do as I tell you." Every day, Puss took another present to the palace. The next week, he took Tom to the river and told him to go swimming. Then he hid Tom's old clothes. Soon he saw the king's carriage, and he jumped into the road. "Help! Help!" he said. "My poor master, the Marquis of Carabas. Some robbers attacked him and took all his clothes." "The Marquis of Carabas?" said the king. He gave me all those nice presents. Oh, that's terrible. He sent a servant to bring some clothes from the palace. When Tom put them on, he looked just like a prince. The princess smiled at him. She was very pretty. Please, dear Marquis, said the king, would you like to ride with us in our carriage, and your cat too? Thank you, said Puss, but I'm happy to walk. He came to some fields of corn. Some people were cutting the corn. Whose fields are these? He asked. Oh, they belong to a terrible giant, the people told him. They don't now, said Puss. The king is coming. You must tell him that all these fields belong to the Marquis of Carabas. But do you want to be cat food? Asked Puss angrily. So when the king came, he heard that all the fields belonged to the Marquis. Amazing, said the king. My dear Marquis, I can see you are a rich man. Puss came to a castle and asked the servants, whose castle is this? Oh, it belongs to a terrible giant. Does it? I must meet him. Who wants to meet me? Asked a loud voice. Puss looked up. The giant was enormous and very scary. Beautiful. What a beautiful castle you have, and all those cornfields, and so many people working for you. What do you want? Asked the giant. Mr. Giant, I heard a story that you can change into any animal, a dog, a cat, or even a lion. Can it be true? Of course it's true. The giant changed into an enormous lion. Puss was very frightened, but he didn't move. That's good, he said. But can you also change into a really small animal like a mouse? Easy, said the giant. And he changed into a little mouse in front of Puss. Puss jumped on the mouse, and that was the end of the giant. Just then, the king's carriage arrived. Puss bowed. Welcome to my master's castle, he said. Is this castle yours too? The king asked. Tom smiled. Please come inside, said Puss. I'm sure you are hungry. They went into the castle and found a delicious meal all ready on the table. Amazing, said the king. He asked Puss all about his master, the Marquis, his castle and his fields, the farms. Tom talked to the princess. She listened to him and smiled and laughed. Tell me, Puss, said the king, is your master married? Well, no, he isn't, said Puss. I think my daughter likes him very much, said the king. Is that true, my dear? The princess turned pink. Yes, I do, she said. So Tom married the king's daughter, and they lived in the castle and were very happy. Puss lived in the castle with them. He didn't have to catch mice, but sometimes he did anyway, just for fun. Bye guys, that's all for today.